Hello, we are the EA3 group and we are going to be talking about the New York water crisis and its effects. This group is composed by Amanda Leite, Breno Ramos, Matheus Pigato, Matheus Vasconcelos and Ricardo Gontijo. Fresh water is a finite resource of low availability and is a subject that has been increasingly discussed in the media due to the current way of handling water resources by the countries of the globe. Water scarcity is an environmental problem whose impacts tend to be increasingly severe if countries do not change the way they use water. Introduction. With rising consumption and the availability of water for consumption declining, the water crisis has affected cities on every continent since the last century. The differences between developed and developing countries hinder an evidence that the global water crisis is directly linked to social inequalities. By 2015, an estimated 4.8 billion people will be in water stress, with poor access to safe drinking water and basic sanitation. In 1990, New York City faced consecutive droughts, causing a severe water crisis where reservoir levels reached 27%. São Paulo has recently faced a serious water crisis. In 2014, in Engenharia system, water levels have reached less than 10% of its total capacity. Unlike New York, São Paulo took drastic measures have momentarily overcome a crisis, as measures do not prevent new crises from happening in the next few years. Main text. In addition to the 1990 water crisis, New York had already faced two other water crises, in 1964 and 1981. Different from previous crises, the 1990 crisis forced the authorities to invest in solutions that would have immediate effects and which would have a positive impact on the long term. While the levels of the reservoirs of New York were low, the consumption of water only grew, so it was necessary to search for solutions to the lack of water instead of building new reservoirs. The Water Department, as a solution, created a plan where the first area of action was in the water sources, protecting the water from pollution and ensuring clean and abundant water. For being an old city, its pipes were very old, which ended up causing a huge waste of water due to leaks. A replacement of the pipes caused the waste rate to drop to 10%. Another part of the plan to solve the New York water crisis was society. In New York, reducing water demand was an essential part of tackling the crisis and preventing any further collapse. The environmental awareness process in New York was a success that even with population growth of 1 million people, daily water consumption fell by more than 30%. The measures implemented by the city of São Paulo aimed at short-term solutions. They performed works to fetch water in more distant regions instead of performing works to avoid waste in their water pumping. Another inadequate measure taken by the city of São Paulo was a reduction of the water pressures in the pipes, since a lack of high pressure can contaminate water. Different from New York, the city of São Paulo did not create projects that will have effects seen in the long term. There are no projects to accelerate the cleaning of rivers, fight against leaks, and mainly populate awareness. Conclusions. Both New York and São Paulo have taken measures that have solved their short-term water problems. But New York has taken into consideration that water resources will become more scarce. New York was concerned about society, where a solution taken did not require large amounts of dollars. There was no increase in fees paid for the use of water resources. On the other hand, in São Paulo, the social question was not prioritized. Proof of this was the search for increasingly distant resources and the lack of creation of an educational process. In general, the city of São Paulo is far from solving its problem of water scarcity. In order for the problem to be truly solved, there must be a joint work between the state government and society, showing the reality of water resources with total transparency. The population is a key to a better future in all areas of society.